Hello, pre-calculus. In this video, we're going to talk about parabolas, just to refresh your memory. So a parabola, in case you have forgotten, always takes on some kind of form like this or like this, depending on whether or not it's positive or negative. All right, so when we think about a parabola, remember that all graphs, whether it's a line or a parabola or a cubic function, whatever you have has an equation that kind of gives you the blueprint for what it's going to look like on the coordinate plane itself. For instance, if I write y equals x squared, you should automatically think in terms of, okay, the equation's the blueprint, but what does it tell me? Well, it tells me that the x is squared for every one of the y values. So that means that it is going to produce a parabola. This right here is the parent parabola function. And if I know it's a function, I can write it in function notation. All right, now that is the parent function of a parabola, but as the blueprint changes, the look of the graph will also change. So let me indicate to you what I'm talking about. Let's talk about the parent function. I'm going to use a table to illustrate this. Got x values and y values. So if I choose a -2 for x, a -2 squared gives me a 4. If I choose a -1 squared is 1. If I choose a 0 for x squared, y is 0. If I choose a 1 for x and it gets squared, it's a 1 for y. If I choose a 2 for x and it's squared, that gives me a 4. So the parent function looks like this. I've got this ordered pair, 0, 0, right there. This ordered pair 1, 1, right there. This ordered pair 2, 4. This ordered pair -1, 1. This ordered pair -2, 4. So that just gives me kind of a guide as to what my parabola would look like. So that's the parent graph, the parent function of a parabola. All right. So if the equation changes, then the graph is going to change in accordance with it, because remember, your equation is your blueprint. See, we used the equation and the relationship of x squared to y to create a table of values. I plotted the ordered pairs, and then I was able to create my graph. Okay, what if my blueprint changes? Let's look at this x squared plus 1 here. That just means that now, rather than starting at the origin, I'm starting at +1. Okay, let's look at what that would look like in a list of values. Okay, so I'm going to erase all this. So now, as I choose an x value, the y value responds by squaring the x. We add the 1. Okay. So I'm going to pick the same exact values I did last time. I'm going to choose a -2, a -1, a 0, 1, and a 2. All right, if I choose a -2, I substitute it in right here. -2 squared gives me a 4. 4 plus 1 is 5. So I've got an ordered pair at -2, 5. -1, substitute that in. -1 gets squared, add it to 1, I get a 2. So I've got an ordered pair at -1, 2. When x is 0, 0 squared plus 1, that just gives me a 1, so I've got an ordered pair at 0, 1. 1 squared plus 1 gives me 2. 2 squared plus 1 gives me 5. Right there. So if you'll notice, it is the exact same parabola that I just drew, only shifted up 1. And we'll talk more about transformations and whatnot later. Okay, so the equations in my blueprint shows me how to graph my parabola on the coordinate plane.